Greetings! You are listening to the Aura Fitness Podcast, the show where I yell about fitness, fatherhood, fantasy gaming, and everything else in between. I'm your host, Rob Finlayson, certified older brother, fitness coach, and birthday boy. I'm coming at you this week with some life updates about the show, the business, what's going on with me, and of course, to just talk about RagnaRob 2025, the event of the season, coming up this Saturday at Wolf Park at 2:15 p.m. in St. Louis Park. So you guys, I talked about it last year, but if you are a newer listener or you skipped it or you just forgot, every year for my birthday since I want to say 2020, maybe 2021, I have run what was originally branded the Bargain Basement Backyard Ren Fair for Rob's birthday. In 2020, obviously, we had the big parallelogram and it was illegal to go outside and you couldn't talk to your neighbors until about that summer when my birthday is August 4. It's like you can gather outside, but don't look at each other too hard was the law of the land. And so I wanted to get all my friends together so I could see human beings again who don't live in my house anymore. And we got all the friends together and I love a theme party and I love this nerd shit. And I used to love the Renaissance Fair. I haven't been in 15 years or so. It's just kind of an enormous pain in the butt to get out there and very, very expensive. Although last year I went to the state fair again for the first time in 12 years. So maybe this year is the year I go back to the Renaissance Fair. Eventually I want to bring the kiddo out there when she's a little bit older, but I digress. So I threw this theme party in my backyard. When you think of the Renaissance Fair, you think of costumes and games and the ambiance and the fantasy, and you think of the turkey legs and the beer and all this hubbubbery, so I planned all these games, all these activities, arts and crafts. There was challenges. It was a big Dungeons and Dragons theme, so I tried to have a challenge that related to one of the 6 core stats of Dungeons and Dragons. So there was one for strength and dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. And some of these games are harder to think of than others. Some of them are a little bit more, they come immediately to mind. The ones that have stuck around in the intervening 5 or so years have been a feat of strength, so we still do the hoist every year. We still do trivia every year. I write my own trivia questions, so that's been a lot of fun. But the party itself has iterated every year, and it's always been a huge labor of love for me. It feels a lot like putting together a really big game of Dungeons and Dragons as a dungeon master, right? Is planning this party for my friends, because it's my birthday, but really what I get out of it is seeing my friends have fun, having the people I care about experience joy is the best present I can give to myself, I guess. I just love other people having a really good time. I guess that's kind of my main thing. Just I want the people I love to be having a good time. And that's what this party is. And that's why I spend so much time and money and effort and stress about it. Already a few times in the past week or two, Mo, my beautiful and perfect wife, has expressed a willingness to help out. It's if you need me to plan anything or put things together or come up with ideas. And I'm no, I want to do this myself. One of the things that I really enjoy about this project, specifically about RagnaRob, as it is now known, is that it is 100% my product. No one else has fingers in it, not a cent from another person, not an hour of anyone else's time. No ideas from other people come in to do this. And not people don't have good ideas, and it's not I couldn't use the help on projects, but this is because I think part of it is because it's my birthday party. I'm so that's the other present I can give to myself. Is this is a thing that I can fully put only my name on it. It is a 100% Rob thing, Rob product, because I feel often in other parts of my life, I try and be, creative or, put my effort into something that other people will enjoy and appreciate. And it doesn't get, the end product is, I don't want to use the word diluted, but it has changed, influenced, certainly nothing I create and put out there outside of something like this is purely just my ideas. Other people have input too, which is great and valuable and valid. I need them for that. But for this one thing a year is just me. It's just Rob, top to bottom. It's Rob's all the way down, and I like that. But that does make it expensive and time consuming and full of effort. But it's worth it because, like I said, I like to see my friends have a good time. So this year, we're going to be back at Wolf Park in St. Louis Park, you guys, Saturday, August 2nd. We'll be doing the Tournament of Arms. We've been doing that every year. I have these, you can see them in the back if you can watch on the video, these practice swords, these Bakken that my best friend Ethan got me for my birthday. God, several, like maybe like the year I was married, I want to say even. It was a while ago. It's a long time ago. And so we use these to do like some practice, essentially longsword fencing games, and like a boffer style rules. Like if you and one other person each have one of these slightly padded wooden swords, and then you sword fight. And if you get hit in an arm or a leg, that limb is dead, and you take it. You can't use that arm. You can't use that leg. You have to hop around or kneel or use one hand. And if you get hit twice if you lose two limbs, you die, quote unquote. And if you get hit in the torso, in the front or the back or the sides, you die. And you're not allowed to hit each other in the head because that's just not safe. We want safety in our sword fighting tournaments here, guys. So we'll do that big tournament here as well. We'll do the hoist, which is a popular event. That's changed a little bit as time has gone on. It used to be have a kettlebell that you overhead press. For men, it would be the 53-pound kettlebell, and for women, it would be a 35-pound kettlebell. And then I brought that down to a 26-pound kettlebell. And then last year, I had the brilliant idea of just using one sandbag for everyone that weighs about 30 pounds. And that was way easier. I was just talking about this last night at Dungeons and Dragons with my friends. We just wrapped another campaign, actually, last night. I can talk about that a little bit here in a second. But I was just talking last night about like this, I have to find this sort of like magic zone where like, this is a lot of work for me and this is fun for everyone at the party. And there's like this point where they crisscross, and that's what I'm trying to find, where like, this is just the amount of effort for me versus everyone is having the maximum amount of fun for this. But with something like lifting these, I now realize pretty fucking heavy kettlebells overhead multiple times isn't like easy enough for most people for it to be fun. And then I have to also lug these big ass hunks of metal around, versus 30 pounds is a pretty manageable amount of weight for most people to shove overhead multiple times. Yeah. So the idea is you spend 30 seconds repping out overhead press with this weight, and then whoever has the most reps obviously wins. And when there's a male and a female winner, I make medallions. I went to the store and got these wooden, I guess they're coasters, really, these wooden coasters. I paint them gold, drill a hole in the top and make a medallion of it, and write on the front in Sharpie, like best hoister or like most hoisted, strongest man, strongest woman at the party sort of thing. And that's fun. Actually, I have friends who, my friend Katrina, who's a jiu-jitsu black belt now, has done many jiu-jitsu competitions, and she's won the hoist twice, 2 years in a row now. And she tells me that she keeps her medal next to her jiu-jitsu tournament medals. So it's a pretty big deal, guys. It's pretty legit. It's a pretty big deal. So that's another thing that I have fun. And the big thing that is always a lot of effort for me, but I think really hits that sweet spot of like my efforts to your enjoyment, is the team trivia, where I just write these trivia questions, and they're all about all sorts of things. In the early days of RagnaRob, back then, the Rob Fair, Robison's Festival, I think I called it, I would have 18 questions, which is a lot, because there were 18 named skills on the Dungeons and Dragons character sheet. So it's you can tell there's a big D&D like theme on it. And I've kind of moved away from that like really explicit theming, just because it's easier to do other things in different ways. So that's what I'm doing right now. So now we're looking at like 11-ish questions I think I have written right now. I might add some more as we go, but I think that's a pretty good sweet spot. So we do pub style trivia on that, and then whatever team wins that, they get to have some of the prize. I need to figure out a lot of these prizes. So top prizes is going to be some free personal training with RF Fitness, because this event is brought to you by RF Fitness. You know, your ideal virtual, online, and hybrid fitness coaching for busy grown-ups just like you, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. You've listened to the ad. In fact, here's one right now.
Gosh, I feel really achy today and tired as heck. I know I should exercise more, but I just can't seem to make the time and wouldn't know what to do if I could. What if I just waste my time, or worse, hurt myself? And diet? Forget about it. The kids only eat fruit paste and pistachios this week, so I'm hanging on by a dang thread. I wish I could offload all the mental load to someone with over a decade of experience helping burnt-out parents like me make small changes that lead to big differences.
Well, now there is! RF Fitness is the online, in-person, and now hybrid fitness coaching service that brings simplified, no BS health and fitness information to you at your pace, built for your life, and with options to fit your budget. I have helped expecting mothers, toddler parents, busy CEOs, black belts, craftsmen, and more to set, meet, and exceed their goals since 2012. I'm actively seeking new clients for one-on-one hybrid and in-person coaching, and there's always room for more on my online personal training stable and on the team workouts. You can head to rffitness.net or click on the link in the show notes to learn more and schedule your free consult with me today. So if that sounds like fun to you, those events, the hoist, the tournament of arms or sword fighting, and of course team pub style trivia, I invite you to come down this weekend at 2:15 p.m. to the Wolf Park building enclosure at Wolf Park in St. Louis Park. I am getting some donuts from Angel Food. They're a donut store bakery in St. Louis Park. Who have really great stuff. I'll be baking a number of my own protein muffins, which sounds like a yucky thing to have at a birthday, but I'm going to put frosting on them anyways. So we'll have another dozen little treats. There's going to be other snacks, juice boxes, flavored waters, whatever for the kids and stuff like that. Unfortunately, because it's at a public park, they don't allow any alcohol in the scene, which, as time has gone on, this has become a more and more like family-focused, family-friendly event, which is its own thing. I've often played with the idea of having like an after party, like a couple people come over to the house or go to a bar or something like that afterwards, and then we have drinks. But that requires just a lot more effort on my part because, again, I'm doing the entire party. I'm hosting it. I'm doing the games. I'm keeping score. I'm making sure everyone is taken care of. Mo, God bless her heart, usually kind of just champions up and takes care of the kiddos during that time, making sure they're, taken care of on the playground or they have their games. This year we'll have, I made coloring sheets, printed out a bunch of those. There's going to be an activity sheet where you design your own 5-room dungeon. So I have like 5 little cells on there and some instructions like, this is a dungeon. You need to populate it so that adventurers can have fun inside. Your dungeon should have like a monster to fight, a secret to discover, a treasure to win, and like someone to talk to and stuff like this. And the kids can, I tested this out with Olivia, and obviously she's probably a little bit biased. She had a great time drawing little pictures of monsters and making puzzles and stuff in there. And like I said, other coloring pages with like gnomes and fairies and unicorns and knights and whatnot. A big activity that I'm excited for that I plan on this year is making magic wands. So obviously we're in a park. There's sticks all over the place. I'm going to try and collect some myself just to bring just in case, but I got all these ribbons and like little bells and bits of string and things like that, because Olivia had done this craft somewhere else, I forget where you just take like a stick and you wrap a bunch of junk on it, and it's a magic wand now, hooray! It's bright and it's colorful and it makes sounds and you can take it home, whatever. Cool. Kids love crafts, right? So that's what that's about. And then, of course, obviously, it is a park, and Wolf Park especially is very cool. There's 2 really good, fun play sets. And because most of my friends now are an age where we all have kids who are around the same age, doing this is a bit more fun. It's hard to get places if your kids can't come. So might as well make the party basically for the kids too, like 50% for the kids and the other 50% for my friends who come and bring the little goblins in. So that's coming on this weekend. A little bit of housekeeping there. Thank you so much for listening. Further housekeeping, obviously there's been more and more gaps in the episodes as they come out. And this is something I've wrestled with a lot in the past couple of weeks here, because I just haven't had a lot of motivation to make episodes. It's difficult because I am currently working 3 jobs. I coach at the Y, I coach at Soda, I run RF Fitness. On top of that, I am a husband and a father, trying to be a good and active friend as well. I try and find time for jujitsu. I have a bevy of other creative projects I'm trying to get after. I'm still trying to write a newsletter every week and send that out. You guys should sign up, by the way, for the Best Next Move newsletter. Comes out every Friday. I'll work hard on it to the point where it becomes difficult for me to create this sort of longer form content, i.e. a podcast. And it's even more difficult without a co-host. Obviously Rachel hasn't been on the show for a while because it's really difficult to make our schedules match up. Like, our kids are on such a different sort of like timing wavelength that makes it really, really difficult to find a consistent co-host. So obviously the show is more fun when there's more people on it than just me. I mean, I think so anyway. So as much as I love listening to myself talk, and as you do too, I'm sure. So I'm going to try and do that. But I think until fall, until the girls are back in school, we're going to stick to the every other week format when I can start getting more time, more motivation, and more voices on here. Then we'll pick back up and do the weekly thing. I do think that in fall, hopefully by end of September, I'll have sort of narrowed down my scope of responsibilities so that I can really focus myself, not be split in so many directions. I really want to play more Dungeons and Dragons and run more D&D games. So I have a big project with that coming up. I have all those other projects I've been talking about all year, guys. Kobolds and Kettlebells, the resistance training manual for stressed out lefties. Gardens and Goblins. This book that Olivia suggested that I bring that to the party, so I'll have to bring that out there too. Get some other people's eyeballs on that because that's a lot of fun. So like at the beginning of the year, I said I want to publish something, and we're kind of running out of year, and I haven't published anything yet, but I'm pretty close on like 3 or 4 different things. I just need to sit down and fucking finish it, man. That's so hard. It's just finding the time. Like, I'm just so goddamn tired all the time. I wake up at like 5 or 6 in the morning, like 6 days of the week, man. And I'm just not a morning person by nature. It's just, you know how it is. Why am I complaining to you? Not that you don't care, but yeah, I mean, just yeah, you know how it is. So, I mean, that does make me think of like the open letter to 2025 I wrote at the beginning of the year. Obviously, a lot's changed between then and now, between, late December, early January, and now, beginning of August. A lot of things have changed in ways that I guess you could have seen coming at that point. That doesn't make those transitions any easier to deal with, I think, really. Like, my goals were to do, I think it was like 292 training days. I am nowhere near on track for that. I'm gonna fail that goal miserably just by so much. I'm gonna be off. So was that like a super duper high goal for me? I guess so. Maybe it was a bit unrealistic, but I didn't know it was unrealistic until I tried. But at the same time, I'm not going to stop trying. I'm still tracking the workouts. Like, I still on my calendar on the wall, I'm gesturing like you can fucking see what I'm pointing at. It's not even on the same level of the house that I'm in right now. On my big whiteboard calendar, I still mark down each training. I'm at like 150-ish, something like that, 153 at this point in the year. Well over halfway, not quite halfway to that number. I guess I am over halfway. For that. So, oh good. I can, in classic Rob fashion, I'll end out with like a 65 to 71% final grade. C's get degrees, baby. So yeah, there's that goal. I mean, and that was to talk about another previous episode, that was the tool to get to the actual goal, right? Which was to get better at jujitsu, get stronger, and like achieve a physique that I can really feel proud of. And I think I'm actually there. I am physically stronger now, testing out some of the more traditional lifts when I first got back to the Y with my bench press and my power clean and the barbell. Like, I haven't trained those movements in forever, but they were still stronger and easier and better quality trying them, like last 2 months ago, just with my generalized training, and that's been working great. So clearly that's working. Check. Getting stronger, getting better at jujitsu. Big not check. I feel like I'm getting worse at it the more I do it. And I don't know if this is like a me thing or if this is just like that's kind of where I'm at in my jujitsu career, like as a blue belt, where I've been for like a year and a half, 2 years now. Like you just sort of feel like you're not getting better. And there's often been times where I feel like I'm not getting better at jujitsu, but I think a big part of that is that I am getting better, and everyone I'm training with is also getting better at about the same speed or faster than I am. So that's where that like that disconnect can sort of come out. So I guess what I really need to do is just fight someone who's not trained at all and see how I feel about that. So stay tuned for that update, I guess. Let's just fight some dude on the street. Hey, bud, sit down. Let's do jujitsu, and I want to see something real quick. So that's not quite a check. But the physique thing, I feel like I'm doing pretty good. I just recently kind of went back down to about like a 185 ish body weight, which I think honestly, for all I talk about is getting really lean or getting really strong, adding all this mass. Just 185, I think, is just about where my body wants to be. Like that's just my natural frame. For like the kind of lifestyle that I live and the type of training that I enjoy and like what I want, what I want my body to be able to do. 185 is kind of just where it sits. And the older I get, the more I'm just kind of okay with that. Like I don't need to get super big and thick, like it's like for what really? I mean, it would be nice to be super jacked and shredded for like a week and get a bunch of pictures and like put them on my Instagram and just recycle that content forever and be like, hey, look at this jacked guy in his late 30s into his 40s. Yeah, obviously. There's a whole lot of social media stuff that makes its living off of that sort of churn, but that requires just so much time and effort. And as previously discussed, I kind of have a shortage of those. Both time and effort of goddamn brain space, I did have a great conversation recently. I was on a call with Hannah, who is the owner of Solcana Fitness in Minneapolis. Great gym, very, very cool. I really recommend you check them out if you're looking for a woman-owned, like very queer-centered space for fitness. Like their mission is so crystal clear and like broadcast so loudly. That was one of the things that really, really attracted me to this gym. And anyway, I had a great Zoom call with her a couple of weeks ago talking about more inclusive coaching practices. I'll be joining some coursework on how to be a more inclusive coach, how to practice it, what that looks like, what it means for you guys, essentially, for you listeners and clients out there, for, keeping in mind, like I'm at the end of the day, I am just like a cis het white guy in fitness. It's like, when is my moment going to be? But I endeavor to understand better the types of communities and the people that I'm maybe not able to serve right now super well. So a lot more of the, like I said, the queer communities, people of color, people of different backgrounds, trauma informed coaching is something that has recently been really kind of thrown to the forefront of like, I should know about this. I'm not bad at it, but I need to be better at it, at the same time. So that's a bit of coursework that I'll be doing. Again, focusing on doing that starting in the fall when I can, like I said, narrow down the scope of my responsibilities. Free up some time for that. Because I need to be continuing my education to keep my my job. I need these CECs, these continuing education credits. But yeah, I had a great conversation with her about sort of basically marketing and like the business model itself and like how I run things, and my price points really was a thing that came up, and she had some really strong input and really helpful suggestions for me about like, like are you getting what you're worth out of RF Fitness basically? It's kind of like, not really. I'm not. I've always sort of, I guess, told myself I could make a lot of money with RF Fitness if I just put in more effort with it. But the fact of the matter is I am putting an effort in it and I'm still making basically nothing from it. Whoops. Because essentially I'm undercharging myself. I'm undercutting myself. Like if I were to hire a coach who does what I do with the amount of experience and speciality and level of service that I provide, I would expect to pay a lot more than I am charging for people. And a big reason that prices are like essentially poverty wages for myself is because most of the people in my life who I think about as like my, the client avatar is what you would say, but like the quote unquote my people who I want to help don't have a ton of like extra money just laying around for a luxury service like fitness coaching, like fitness training. And I really like that's the people I want to help. Busy parents. If a busy parent has a shortage of two things, it's time and money. I can help with the time thing. The money thing has got to be its own thing. And that's why my prices, I guess, have been so, to use the word, bargain basement compared to a lot of other coaches who have the same level of experience or less than me. Those guys start there charging double, triple what I do, and they do an objectively way shittier job at it. I've said before, I'm good at this. That's why I've been doing it for 12, 13 years now. I'm passionate about it. I care a lot. And all those things roll into itself. Like I care a lot because I'm passionate. I'm passionate because I'm good at it. I'm good at it because I'm passionate and I care a lot about it. All those things put together with over a decade of experience, like is Rob more valuable than what he's giving? And with this conversation I had with this successful business owner, someone who's doing this coaching stuff, she was really dragging me, kicking and screaming over the line of yes, you need to change your price points. So that's going to be coming up in probably the new year. Quest groups, there's a word you haven't heard for a while, because I haven't been running it for the past 2 seasons because I've been too busy, too stressed out. I have not had the headspace for it. I want to continue to run quest groups, much like RagnaRob. I will continue to iterate upon it. I'm looking at a new model for it where instead of 8-week long cohorts with like a week or two break in between, I'm looking at running it continuously throughout the year in programming blocks in like 3-month long things with different payment plans where you can do a month to month or a 3-month batch and still keeping the cadre down to like maximum of 10 people, because I do still plan on doing the more or less individualized coaching. I think with what I want to accomplish, like what I want quest groups to do to affect is still this small group thing. So we're still looking at like a basic, how do I explain this? If you are in the fitness scheme, what I'm talking about is a macro cycle over the course of the year, a meso cycle of 3 months, and a micro cycle of week to week and session to session, right? If you don't work in the industry that I've worked in for over a decade, what that means is over the course of the year, there are pre-planned kind of phases of training. And like the whole course of the year, the big goal is to become stronger and more athletic. That's our umbrella goal, let's say. I'm going to hammer down on that a little bit as we go. And then doing seasonal, winter, spring, summer, autumn is how I want to kind of break up these training blocks. So 3 months, however many weeks that is, 12 weeks, 12 weeks. I knew that. That's basic math. 12-week long training blocks. And in winter, we're looking at fundamentals or foundations. Then we look at like strength training or like cardio or aerobic base training. Then we look at like strength and power. Then we look at like, I don't know, something like speed, or performance basically. And then you click that back over again to the next year into winter again when we look at the foundations again. So that's the idea I'm having. And like you do a constant month to month thing, or you can play every 3 months for a different block. I have to find out what those prices are going to be, but I just want this to work so badly, you guys. I was talking to Mo about it and how just frustrated I feel at work a lot for a variety of reasons. And she said, like, I just really wish RF Fitness would take off more for you because of, like I said, it's like my whole thing with RagnaRob. Like I want to do things this way. I want this to be my thing. Like I enjoy working at the gyms where I currently work. I love working with the people. They're very cool, but it's not mine. It's not my vision. It's not my mission. It's not my people. It's not what I like. I don't know. Is it like a mental illness where like I have to put my personal mark on things that I do? Is it and like am I just arrogant? Is that what this is? Like why do I feel so driven to create things that I can be proud of? Is it weird to think that that's weird? I don't know, man. Psychologists, therapists get at me in the chat. What's wrong with me? Why do I need to be proud of things that I do? Yeah, so that's the housekeeping for the business. Let's see what else. Other life updates that might be interesting to people. Olivia's doing jujitsu now. I bring her there out for me once a week on Friday nights out at M Theory again in St. Louis Park. If you are in the West Metro area and looking for probably some of the best jujitsu coaching you'll find, they have a really excellent program out there. Olivia's been doing it now for 3 weeks, I think, and she's just loving it so hard, man. We have class at the same time in different areas of the space, but I can still like sneak a peek over at her while she's, receiving instruction from the coach because they have a whole different section of the building for the kids versus the adults class when it happens simultaneously, like we do on Friday nights. Like I'm getting my stuff done, so I'm getting a little bit of a workout, having fun with the other white belts because it's mostly white belts at that time of night, so the essentials class. And I get to see her like roll around and have fun and make friends, and it's just so cool. And we've been reading a lot with the kid. We've recently transitioned in away kind of from storybooks at night or during the day into chapter books because her school had this thing where like the summer reading book is The Wild Robot, and Mo has been read to Olivia the entirety of The Wild Robot book, which is, I know, a chapter book, probably appropriate for like fifth or sixth graders, I want to say, to read by themselves. But reading it to a 6-year-old has turned out to be completely appropriate because she ate it up, man. She was obsessed with this book, and it's a trilogy, and so she just like snarfed up that entire book, and then they bought the next two and read them all. I want to say in like under 2 months they read the entire things, and it's been awesome. And I've started reading Olivia chapter books. I tried reading to her out of the Magic Treehouse series. Not interested for whatever reason. I don't know why. She doesn't seem to be super into it. So I dug around some of Mo's library that she has from previous years. As a teacher, you just collect books, as it turns out. It's sort of like a dragon. You hoard them now. But there's a novel by William Steig, who's one of my favorite children's authors, called Abel's Island, about a mouse who gets marooned on an island somewhere on accident, and kind of his survival story there. So I've been reading that to Olivia, and she's just eating it up. Like earlier today, she was like, "Hey, can you read more of that mouse book to me?" Just like out of nowhere. Like she could have asked for a snack, she could have asked for video games, she could have asked to watch a show, but she didn't. She asked if we could read this book. That's so cool to me. And like, we went and saw the Wild Robot movie yesterday with a lot of her class, and Mo and I were talking about how like she kind of annoyingly asks questions about the thing we just watched or the thing we just read. Like, hey, why did this character do this thing? And it's like, you saw the same movie I did, dude. Use your eyes. Like you tell me. But I think maybe we're too close to the situation and we get annoyed by it because she asks us that so much about so many things. But to be charitable and for the positive outlook, I said that, well, maybe we can look at it instead as, she has a blossoming sense of media literacy, right? Like she's getting good at like interrogating the text. Like why does this character do this? Why is it this way? Why do we assume this thing about the world? Why do the characters assume this thing about their world? And sort of explore that, which I'm really excited about. And I think that's, partially because of who she has as parents, and like that's kind of how we are. But like her classical education that she's just kindergarten 1 year already at the school that she goes to. I think that's a big focus of kind of how they teach literature and media is to interrogate it, to ask questions, ask critical thinking. And I think that's just so huge. I see a lot of this stuff about like, well, Gen Z is this and that, and they, the Gen Z stare or whatever, and how so many young people are in the alt-right pipeline because their brains have been melted by TikTok or whatever. And it is very discouraging, obviously for a lot of reasons, but to see this 6-year-old be excited about books, paper books, to ask questions about the worlds that she's experiencing just in her imagination, right? Like she's not even, and there's a few pictures in these books, But I mean, it's a chapter book with a few sketches in it. It's not like a comic book or anything like that. Like she sits there and she just lays down and listens to us read to her. And like you can like see the gears turning in her brain. And that is just so incredibly cool and so rad and very, very rewarding. So I guess thank you to her school and to my beautiful, perfect wife, Mo, for really encouraging us to read. I wouldn't have thought to read chapter books to a 6-year-old. But if you got a kid around the same age, I'd, give it a shot, man. If it's a book that I think is like appropriately to be read like a 4th to 6th grader, you can probably read that book to your kindergarten or 1st grader and they'll get something out of it. As long as, I asked her, I was looking for more books to read her. And I was like, yeah, I could start reading you The Hobbit if you want. And she was like, no, I don't want to do that. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I don't want to read you The Hobbit either right now. That's a lot. I don't want to sing those fucking songs. Tolkien's got cool with the songs. That's my Tolkien hot take. Anyways, that's about it, guys. I think I filled out just about 20 to 30 minutes here of household updates. I have nothing else for you right now other than hit me up. Come, please come to my birthday party. This has been the RF Fitness Podcast. Yeah, I'm available for online coaching a little bit. To find out if it's right for you, you can head to rffitness.net. That's rffitness.net, and then scroll to the bottom of that page, see what the kind of coaching that I offer for now. That is about to change. So if that sounds attractive to you, hop on now and you can get grandfathered into whenever I make these changes in the business model. You can do the client application there, of course, to kind of figure out what's going to work best for you, and just hit join the party to jump into our community Discord server for free. Our theme music is Funk AF, as ever, by Everett Allman, distributed by YouTube Studios. Thanks for listening, guys. And as always, keep questing. How many chains can I get? 8.